Welcome to the F3 podcast, where we discuss all things that pertain to faith, family, and finances. And remember, no subject is off limits. We are your hosts today. I am Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to my glorious, radiant, beautiful, immaculate of a wife. She is the sainted mother herself. She is Dr. Jasmine Blair. See, I didn't overdo it this time. See?
Welcome, everybody, to the F3 podcast. Shout out to all of our longtime viewers and our first time viewers. Those of you that stop by and those of you that just peek up here to see what we're doing. Listen, we want to welcome every last one of you because without you, this would not be possible. Listen, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. And remember, no subject is left off limits as we will talk about what your pastor will. So we definitely got a good one for you today. And I think this is an appropriate topic as we are amid the tail end of the summer. We're going to talk about family reunions with the pastor. Now, I think this is a good topic. And whether you're a pastor or not, you've probably seen this or experienced this. And if you don't know, listen, ask somebody. You know, family reunions are always a unique time. Now, I know for us, we really don't do the family reunion thing. But for those of you that do, or plan to, and you've newly become a pastor, you will find that there will always be a space to make you the topic of the conversation.
Yep.
Why? Because you are considered the saved one, the pastor, the one that's holier than thou. Right. So you trust me, you show up late, the show will stop when you arrive. There's a whole conversation, and everybody is either excited or everybody has something to say, whether good, bad, or indifferent, about you at the family reunion, whether they say it to you, about you, or whatever. All eyes will be on you. So I want to kick it over to you. Why do people do this? And if we're honest, we know it's mostly African American folks, but why do people do this?
Well,
I notice in a lot of envelope families, when you go to the family reunion, you're just Bob or Joe.
Yeah.
But on the other side, here come pastor. It's this whole thing. Why do people do that? Why do they do that?
I think it's a number of things. Number one, I think there's a certain expectation of how you think a pastor should act.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of normally just look for the pastor to be a certain way.
Mm.
And then also too, especially in some Black families, they have a different type of respect for a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you are a pastor,
most do.
Yeah, most do. You know, I'm talking about black families. They have a particular respect for a pastor, and then you have some who always trying to look for something bad in a Christian. So it's going to start with a pastor.
Now let's go back to that first piece when you said about some have, more respect, and that's true. You have some that they'll change the music up to something a little less raunchy when the pastor pull up. They might put the beverages away. They might put the grass clippings away, and make the environment a bit more wholesome.
Yeah,
when the pastor pulls up. If you know, you know. And that the pastor here put that, they are who they are, but they want to be respectful considering that the pastor's here. And honestly, we need some of that back on the scene because now you have a lot of the whole other extreme. But see, that was the old days where even a drug dealer would put their stuff up walking by the church. The drug dealer would stop by.
I used to hang around those guys
and pray. The drug dealer would, close, they 40 up walking by the church building and stuff. So you have a lot of those families that come from that era and they have that realm of morals. So, when the pastor pulls up, whatever they got going on that they probably ain't too proud of, they're going to put that away out of respect. And then when they leave, they're going to pull the stuff back out. But it's about it in their own way of being respectful to the fact that you are a man of God or a woman of God and you walk with the Lord.
Yeah, definitely.
So, then you've got the other ones, like you were saying. I want you to talk about that. The ones that's looking for something wrong.
Yeah, like, because they already have an issue with church people anyway.
Come on.
Or church period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, y'all church folks always fake it. It's always church folk.
Half
So
some probably ain't even been to your church, don't even know where it's at.
And those are the type of people, from what I've noticed too, sometimes they'll try you.
Mm-hmm.
They may say a cuss word and then say, "Oops, I'm sorry, Pastor."
Just to see what you're gonna say.
Just to see what you're gonna say.
Testing you for no reason.
Yeah, like you have people that are like that. They will, they purposely want to find something fake with you.
Sad.
That's ugly.
Very ugly.
Ugly indeed. So yeah, I've seen that too. And then some people, you have some, they want to test you.
Mm-hmm.
They want to test you. So it's like, okay, if you really a pastor, let me see how well you can pray.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me see, won't you say grace? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we want to visit places.
Here, nephew, you the pastor. Won't you say the blessing over the food?
Yeah.
Like that nice, nasty little shade they be doing.
Who's to say I want to pray over the food? I may want to eat where everybody else.
Since you the pastor.
I remember that reminds me. I was over my aunt's house one day, and we was all eating, and this is of course when I was in ministry and everything like that. So they say, we gather together, everybody holding hands, and then she gonna pray. And then of course I got voluntold. Like you say, voluntold.
Well, you the pastor, so
yeah,
pastor. Look, they don't even call you by your name, pastor. Won't you say the blessing?
Yeah. I mean, I want to say the blessing. You see what I'm saying?
Like ain't this your dinner?
Yeah,
this is your house.
We're always called upon for stuff. Like, come on, man. It's nuts. So yeah, of course, I was and then they don't ask you. They kind of, and they're asking, telling you.
If you come from those kind of families, when they say want you to, you don't really have the option to say no. You're not really put in a position where you could say no without it being like a whole big uproar. So
yeah, man, I'm the type of pastor. I don't like to be called on for that. Don't ask me to pray. Okay, now I will pray, but I don't want you to ask me to pray. Don't ask me to pray. Okay,
this is a family event.
Yeah,
this ain't a ministry event.
Now,
I didn't come here to do ministry.
I'm trying to eat too. Okay.
And quiet as it kept, you're not too fond of me anyway, but you want me to come pray at the family dinner or the family cookout, family reunion.
Won't you play and bless the food, Reverend?
Since you Reverend now, it's always a little shade, a little clap back in there.
Yeah. Those those kind of people, they'll halfway respect you. They don't respect you, but they gotta act like they do.
Right.
And then that's where that little shade comes in.
Right. Now let's get into some of these other personalities at the family reunion with the pastor. Then you always got that one uncle or cousin that used to go to church and they know a little bit of Bible, but they want to sit there and tell you the little bit of Bible that they trying to convince you, like, look, I ain't a pastor where you at, but when I ain't no full dummy when it come to this Bible. So the whole time you're trying to eat your food, they sitting there telling you every scripture they know, every sermon they heard, the last thing God showed them, the last thing God revealed.
I did not come to the family reunion. I did not come
because they're gonna convince you that you're not gonna judge them.
I did not come to the family reunion to preach. See, like I don't
just show up. Hey, pastor, look, man. I was reading the book of John about a year or two ago, and look, tell me why, blah blah blah. And you know what? And look, now I'm gonna ask you. Why you trying to eat now? Mouth full of chicken, the baked beans, corn. What you think about Gideon's army? Like
I do. Yeah, it's like I don't come to the family reunion to preach, to teach. I come to eat, and fellowship, Um, and I'm pretty sure that's how every pastor feels when they go into their family reunion. I'm pretty sure they feel like, man, like, can I just eat, bro? Like, we're used to ministering. We're used to being in that mode. So it comes natural for us. But I'm telling y'all, as a leader, okay, those of us who are pastors and leaders and all that kind of stuff, we don't want to be bombarded with a bunch of Bible stuff when we come to your family reunion. We want to eat. Some
Say
of us
hi to people.
Some of us want to be halfway secular. Not too secular, but halfway. At least can I do the electric slide without you
look at Pastor.
Look at Pastor. They put on James Brown or something. Can I get on the dance floor? Respectfully.
Look at Pastor. I bet they wouldn't be doing it. I mean, so then you got the next ones, and sometimes these are uncles, but they tend to be the aunties that they're just waiting and taking copious notes on everything that you do to call it into question. Look at it. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be my past. That's that nice nasty translation for
Yeah, them.
And then they'll ask you about it later. So I see you was over there on that dance floor. Try to casually.
Hey, what you doing on that dance floor, Pastor?
That.
Yeah, like I remember. That reminds me, I was with my mom and my stepdad one time, and we went somewhere. I don't know if it was a banquet or something. It was some kind of banquet. They had music there and stuff like that. And I heard my mom and my stepdad talking about the brother that was on the dance floor. And he was he was dancing like everybody else, And then he was like, yeah, that preacher show was getting down. It's a preacher, but at least you know how to live life.
I think people forget that outside of being a pastor or a preacher or being responsible for people spiritually, there is a person there.
Yeah, that's a whole person. We got likes and
it's just like people cannot. You can't at this point, even at the family reunion, right?
Yeah.
You're no longer just cousin or nephew or uncle or aunt or brother or sister or whoever. Everything you say and do is now through the lens of a pastor, and not the familiar connection that you have with these people.
Right.
Why do we do that? It's like and while some people think they're doing it to be honorable, it's really almost a form of being dehumanized.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you just can't be.
Yeah. It's like
it's always shocking.
Yeah.
Like if you weren't a pastor and you sat down with 3 plates of food, it would be fine because it's a family reunion. But because you the pastor, y'all see Pastor over there with them 3 plates. He had 3 plates of food. Everything you do
is under a microscope.
Is under everything is shocking. Oh my gosh. I didn't think he was gonna go back. Pastor had a whole plate full of swine. It's just a whole thing now.
And Lord, don't let them come there dressed down. Don't let them come there dressed down. Well, he don't dress like no pastor. Like we supposed to dress up everywhere that we go. Really?
Y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny.
I don't like family reunions. I don't know the last time I've been to one.
Yeah, and I think this is a good conversation because a lot of you probably do this stuff unconsciously and you don't mean no harm by it. You just there having a good time. But whether this is your cousin, your niece, your nephew, your aunt, uncle, let them be. They are your relative first. They might be a pastor. They might even be your pastor. But at the family reunion, they are there for the same reasons you are, to eat and fellowship and catch up with people that they hadn't seen in a while. Let them be. Find something else to talk to them about. Don't continue to harp on the fact that they are pastor. Be respectful, yes, but they're not there for that.
Yeah.
They're not there for all that. And Lord, don't be trying to pull on them to prophesy and give you a word and pray for you and all this stuff at the family reunion. You always got that one. Oh, I'm so glad you here. I need listen. I got this, and you proceed to
you pray for me, Pastor?
To tell them your whole life story. You got a whole emergency. You need prayer. You need hands laid on you. You pulling for a prophetic word. You trying to get some pastoral counseling while they're eating the dessert and passing the cake around. Like what? Why? Why do you feel the need to exhaust them like this?
And don't ask them for their counsel no other time.
Because look, if you got a cousin at the family reunion that's a therapist, you're not trying to tell them all their problems. Oh. If you got an auntie at the family reunion that's a nurse, you're not trying to get them to diagnose you real quick or tell you what you should do if you have a health concern. If you've got somebody that's a banker, you're not pulling on them about your financial situation. So why are you pulling on the pastor to pastor you at the family reunion?
And you don't even go to his church.
And you're not going to listen to, you don't even listen to your pastor. Then you got the other one, you don't even have a pastor. So you got a whole life of stuff and skeletons. And just so your quick question really is about 5 years of counseling that you're trying to get in about 30, 40 minutes. Because you ain't been accountable to nobody. You're a runaway sheep and your wool needs to be sheared from here to Timbuktu. But you trying to pull all this out, and your relative, they're probably feeling testy at this moment because they're like, all right, I love Jesus, but I just want to eat my food. I've been waiting for this chicken. I've been waiting on this corn. I've been waiting on these stuffed peppers or mushrooms, whatever it is that they came to get. I just want to eat my food like everybody else. And now you are burdening them and bogging them down with your whole life that you refuse to be accountable for any other time. Why do people do that? Why do they do that?
If you would have really respected me and viewed me as a decent pastor, you would have been reached out to me.
Come on
now. You just want to use me because I'm there. I'm talking about speaking as speaking from that position.
Since you here,
yeah.
But any other time, I'm too busy to come by the church and actually set up a meeting and get some counsel properly.
You don't consider me no other time.
So my story ain't the same next year at the family reunion.
Yeah. Pastors get used by their family too.
Mm-hmm.
They get used by their family too. Pastors, prophets, whatever your office is, or ministry gifting, you're going to be used. You're going to be used. You're going to be used by not just the church. You're going to be used by family too. But see, the thing about it is, though, at least the people in the church, they kind of halfway value you, enough to follow you.
Right.
But family members, the family members are the most opinionated, but the least invested.
Yes.
But the least invested.
That's good. The most opinionated, but the least invested. That's good.
Yeah, they got something to say about what you're doing, how you pastor, what you're preaching and all this other stuff. But then they are the ones to contribute the least. But that's cuz though. That's bro though. That's sis. And then you come around the family reunion and then you wanna try to further test them again. See, I don't like going to family reunions. I don't.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this from the flip side for a minute, because you got some people that show up to the family reunion with the mindset that I'm about to evangelize my whole family, and by the time these 6 hours is done, we're gonna be going into a revival. All the alcohol gonna be gone, all the grass clippings gonna be gone. Everybody's going to be saved tonight. What about them pastors that show up to the family reunion with that mindset? Because it ain't just all the family. It's some of us is out here that's just doing too much, and we don't know how to just sit back and have a good time and enjoy our relatives. We want to preach to everybody and counsel everybody at the family reunion. So what would you say to those pastors?
Stop it. Stop it. You are going to run everybody off. Ain't nobody gonna want to be around you,
and you probably won't be invited back next year.
No. Or if you are invited, everybody gonna have their guards up.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? People come to their family reunions to see relatives they haven't seen in a while, connect with their family, and to eat
Mm-hmm.
and to have fun.
Play some little games, dance a
Yeah.
little bit.
Nothing wrong with your passion to preach the gospel, but um, if you feel like you can't be around folk without preaching to them, the Bible says we're living epistles to be read by men.
Come on.
So can they read your life first?
Whoop. Mm-mm.
Can they read your life? That's the $1 million question.
And it's a good point because, some people that function this way, you probably have a good heart and a good intention, but there's probably some undealt with judgment and bias there. You got that one cousin that you can't stand because they always not living right, and you just can't wait for the family reunion to tell them how wrong they are about living their life. You just I finally get to see cousin so-and-so. I finally get to talk to Uncle so-and-so. Now, granted, I'm not saying if the Lord is moving or giving you a word to not minister to the person, but 9.9 times out of 10, he's not, because he's aware of the kind of function this is and the kind of people. Do you really think God did not know the condition of these people before you show up? Do you really think somehow you are the sole answer to whatever's going on in their life? No. But you have this idea, and it's not wrong to, hey, I want my family saved. I want my family blessed. But it's possible for God to do that, just not necessarily through you. Mm-hmm. It's possible that you show up and, like you said, be a living epistle and just be an example. And through that, hey, wow. Cousin, so my life is not this and this, and they came, we had a good time. They didn't try to beat me down with the Bible. Maybe I can really talk to them later about some things, or maybe I can stop by their Bible study or something one day. Let your life be the seed that they need. People already know if they're living in sin. They know if they're not right with God. They don't always need you to announce that to them. Like, you're not telling them something they don't know. So let your life just be the example. Have a good time. Be a person. But then the other thing, why a lot of pastors do this, is because they're not fully developed and well-rounded themselves. And outside of church and work, you don't actually have anything to talk about. You're boring. So you try to preach to people the whole time because you have been so buried into pastoring that you're not relatable. You can't tell them what happened on ESPN. You can't tell them what's on the Wall Street Journal. You can't tell them what's in the Circle cartoon comment on Sunday morning in the newspaper, because you've just been so religiously buried into books. You don't know about any movie that then came out. You ain't peeked at Netflix in about a year or two. So you're boring. You're not well-rounded. You don't have anything else to talk about but to try to preach to people and overcorrect them about their life, because that is all the substance you possess.
The Bible says this. Paul said, become all things to all men. Right?
All things.
All things. So you have to, basically, he said you have to learn to put yourself in another person's position and be relatable.
Relatable.
Okay. So that means that you cannot talk above people's heads or talk down to folk either. Okay, because they're not saved or they're not living right or whatever the case may be. People experience what you believe before they hear what you believe.
That's good.
And take heed to it. So in other words, the spirit of what you really believe, people are going to experience that first before they really hear what you got to say. So either way, you're going to tell on yourself. See, Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw. Right? So if he said, I'll be lifted up, I will draw, then that means that all you have to do is lift him up in your life, in your lifestyle. If people can see Jesus in you, okay, and that Jesus is exalted, then they're going to be drawn to the Jesus in you. I tell people, some people, the only Jesus people will ever meet is you. What will their experience be like? And them experiencing you will determine whether or not they want to experience your God. And this is included at the family reunion. This is included at the family reunion.
Don't be the reason that they're not interested in God because they feel like you always judging them, or you always being religious, or you're always doing too much. Don't be that person. Do not be that person.
Yeah, because some people feel like already like, okay, I ain't all the way living right, so I ain't gonna come to church. Or when the pastor come around, they feel okay, like they kind of feel like that, and no, like you want to break down the barriers that people have in their relationship with God by being a proper example, including that at the family reunion.
Yes, indeed. So listen, we gave y'all some good nuggets today. Tell us down in the comments what you think. We want to hear from you. If you are that relative that's been at the family reunion and the pastor and the family just preached your head off, tell us how that was. We want to hear from you in the comments. On the flip side, if you are that pastor relative that's gone to the family reunion and everybody and their mama's trying to get you to pray for them, they're trying to tell you all the Bible, they're trying to bring you into counseling, all their problems, we want to hear from you too. And listen, y'all, the takeaway from this is whether you are the pastor in the family or not, have a good time. Don't judge each other. Don't try to preach to one another. Don't try to prove who you are. That is not why you're there. If you really are interested in building that type of relationship with them, stop by their church, set up an appointment, and don't use the family reunion to do all of that, because that's just being extra on both ends. Any closing remarks?
I think what you just said was the closing remarks.
All right. Well, listen. Stay tuned for more great content. Follow us over on IG at King and Queen Blair. And until next time on the F3 podcast, goodbye.